So last week, I spent about a week up at my parents' house helping them prep to move down to Florida. They're moving here in about 3 weeks. I'm really excited. But with that, they've had for the past 16 years a farm. They moved from the Outer Banks of North Carolina to what I've called the middle of nowhere, Virginia, Green Bay, Virginia, beautiful 95-acre farm. And the past 16 years has had a lot of ups and downs and challenges and joys. And so as I was leaving their driveway for the very last time, my mind kind of started spinning, thinking of like how change in our lives can be met with different emotion. And sometimes we can feel conflicted or guilty or weird, unsettled about having different emotions for something. I know my dad is so excited to come down to Florida to be able to fish, to be able to wear flip-flops for the rest of his life and have a different speed. But at the same time, I know he is going to have tears in his eyes when he leaves that driveway for the very last time. He invested his heart and soul in that property for 16 years. And I also thought about, man, in 16 years, all the different things that have happened in our lives in that time. My oldest nephew really was kind of really born, grew up at the farm. And with that, just the experiences with that, I was married on the farm, the birth of animals, the loss of animals, just all these different things. And I think I'm going to say the hundreds of young people that we had retreats from the high school I worked at in New Jersey. We'd come down every year, and probably 10 of them we had. Oh my gosh, I should know this. But with that, kids who I watched their lives change in that time, hopped on a big yellow bus. And I swore after that, like driving on a bus for whatever it was, like 8 hours, like a old school yellow bus. My body was like, what are you thinking? But in that, how many kids were challenged and just dug deep in their lives, and their lives changed. And so kind of coming back to the fact of this new chapter, we will have new chapters, different pivoting times in our life. It is okay to have different feelings with that. That doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. So if you're listening to this today, whether it be a job, whether it be, you're moving to across town or across the country, whether it be the aspect of a relationship within where you're at in your life, change comes in a whole lot of different forms. There's no cookie cutter change. I do believe many of us have digested this thought, well, I have to be at full-fledged peace for something to change. If that happens, that's awesome. But on the other hand, knowing that if it's this confliction of feelings, this I'm going to call it ambivalence, and that's not a negative thing, that your feelings are still valid. And that is often a necessary feeling with where we're going. To say, well, I'm super excited for this. And why am I feeling a little bit of anxiety? Why am I feeling sad? Talk yourself through these different things. Change can be hard in many aspects of our life, with different change that we face throughout the course of our lives, different seasons. Change can be something that we're desperately, desperately ready for with whatever's going on in that season, currently, past, or future in our lives. We're ready. But change is also a part of our growing transition. It is necessary. That doesn't mean that we can't want it and not want it at the same time. So I'm going to repeat that. It does not mean that we cannot want it and want it at the same time. And I think when it comes to different life-changing changes, it's hard for us to repeat to ourselves and say, it's okay to kind of have this ambivalence of feelings, and that's okay. There's nothing red flag wrong with that. We can experience a sense of loss with relief. I think about my parents, who 16 years ago jumped into, purchasing a 95-acre farm, and they had all these beautiful dreams, and amazing things happened during their 16 years, but it was also really, really hard. I've really, in the past 6 or 7 years, there's different aspects of a 95-acre farm that's really sucked the life out of my parents, and they're ready to recharge. They're ready to just be able to breathe a little bit easier. And so with that, they are losing the aspect of, okay, we're no longer farmers. We don't have this 95-acre farm with sunsets and sunrises and all the things in between. But now we have something different and something that is going to enhance our life, that is bringing change and will bring further growth. We can have change that has relief. Oh my gosh, I'm ready for this, but also a sense of mourning and loss. So think about that for a second with yourself. That's okay. I know 100% when I left the building that I was the high school SAC counselor for 14 years, I was ready for the next step. I was ready. Like I had my ticket in hand to go overseas, ready, new chapter. But at the same time, I was crying. I was literally, I bawled my eyes out leaving, going down the corridor for the very last time with like this big cardboard box filled of stuff that kids had given me over the years. I actually left the day early because I was like, I'm literally going to just fall apart. And you could say, well, how can you leave something that you love so much? To me, with different aspects of our life, that means we've really lived. I was no longer meant to be the SAC counselor of that high school. It was where I was. I knew I had a piece about me. It was time to change things, but it didn't mean I couldn't be sad about it. As my parents leave their driveway for the last time, there's going to be tears of joy and tears of loss. That's okay. I think about all the good and the crazy and the in-between that happened on their farm. And I think, not only, my nephew was, born and raised on the farm, his first few years of life. My grandma took her last breath there. I remember standing next to her with my mom when she passed away. And so there's so many different things that we go through our life that it's okay to grieve. It's okay to feel, wow, oh my gosh, this is a big step that I'm going to be sad about, but excited at the same time, and acknowledging that to yourself. There's nothing wrong with talking yourself through the different stages of change. What isn't okay is I'm going to stay firm right here where I'm at just because it's safer and I'm afraid or concerned or being hindered by something of the unknown. Because I'm feeling this way now and I'm a little ambivalent, well, that means I can't go forward. That's not the truth. That's not the truth. Ambivalence in so many aspects of our life when it comes to change and growth is not only valid, but it's necessary. It's not only valid, but it's necessary. It's allowing ourselves, and this is what I think is very important because we can kind of get entrenched in our own thinking. This is what I have to do. This is where I'm at right now. Having a different perspective and being willing to have a different perspective, taking a step back from your situation, wherever you're at, and is it time for change? And what does that mean? I also believe it's important to have people in our lives that are able to give us objective insight and feedback, not ripping us down and negative toxic, not also sugarcoating the heck out of things and super duper lollipop land, but somebody, and it's not always easy to find that person, that's willing to give you objective insight about the change that is going on in your life, or you wish to happen or you don't wish to happen, and getting their 2 cents. And then also not only getting that from them, am I willing to take a step back and hear out what they said, but look at different scenarios for where I'm at? If I decide to take this step forward, what's the worst thing that could happen? What's the best scenario that could happen? This is how I'm feeling. If I don't do this, running through the same things again. When we take time, and it can be very easy to get caught up in just the moment and the doing instead of pausing and thinking about like, what does this all entail? Do I think I know more than I know? Am I willing to hear things from other people? And some things, it's being careful who you confide in. I know for myself, I had a million different things in my head about changes I had to make professionally. But if I were to go out and talk to everybody about it, it would have shot me in the foot. And that can be really hard sometimes when you're excited about something different. I know with my parents, confided in different people where it didn't have to be anything top secret, but it was like, okay, what's next? Where are we? This is physically having some, implications on us. This is where we're at. And what do we really want out of life? When we're willing to ask and receive the answers to those questions, it can allow us to think things. And that might be, I'm deciding not, to go forward. And maybe that's your best fit. I'm deciding to go forward. And maybe that's your best fit. But when we don't ask questions, when we don't allow ourselves to hear from other people and also allow ourselves to have a different perspective, what's different scenarios? If we disallow those things, it holds us back. It holds us back. And change absolutely can be scary. It can be like riding on a roller coaster in the dark with blindfolds and, whatever. I mean, just think of your craziest, intense, insane in the membrane scenario, and it could fit. Change is really scary sometimes. But if we crumble to change and to fear, we lose out on so much stuff in life. Transitions, changes are a part of life. They are a part, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a job, a career, whether that's in your same position, but going for a promotion or trying to do it even better or trying to take care of your mental health. Change comes in a whole lot of different forms, and we can often get in this peg hole of what change we think it is. It's got to be a career, it's got to be a relationship, it's got to be where we're living. Change is a bazillion different things, and we can crumble in the face of change, or because of fear, or because of being uncomfortable, or because this confliction of feelings. Where are you? Where are you willing to go? We have one stinking life. How will you choose to live it? How will we choose to go with the changes and seasons that we face in life? And it's okay to say, man, that was a tough season. And man, I'm a little conflicted right now, but I'm willing to take a step forward, and it's scary. Tell yourself that. Acknowledge it. Hey, I'm scared. But guess what? This is time for this to happen because it's healthier for where I'm right now. It's going to allow me to grow. And with that, even in relationships, who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are you, I can even say subjecting yourself to? If it's toxic people, never too late to change a group. If you're in a career right now that you're like, man, I'm not at peace with things anymore. Man, I've been in the same spot. I'm ready for growth, and it's never going to happen here. Well, really think about it. What is that next step then? And I believe for me, every step of the way, it's praying, God, give me wisdom. God, give me the ability to just be the proper discernment with these decisions. And I'm scared, allowing for peace. And that doesn't mean that we get that peace and we can't still have this ambivalence of like, I'm going to really miss this. I'm grieving this a little bit. That's okay. Knowing that these different emotions that you have are your own, and that's okay. Identify them. Sometimes we could get really busy or just overwhelmed that we don't take the time to just pause and write stuff down. How am I really feeling? That's not a weird thing to think. Write it down. Why am I feeling this way? Where do I go from here? And step by step, taking that gradual, beautiful transition, that growth that can be bumpy sometimes, and that's okay, because life was not intended to be smooth sailing, my friends. And we can think that. I think we can think that sometimes, or trick ourselves into thinking we believe that, even though we don't believe it. When we look around us, when things are kind of glossed and made to look perfect, whether that be on social media or the movies we watch or things that we could be like, it's supposed to be smoother than this, but is it? Is it? And I believe with all my heart, anything that is worth it is worth working for, chasing after, and investing our hearts and our minds. Because I don't think anything in life, for the most part, comes easily. And if it's been given to you, that's awesome. But for the rest of us, for the majority, you got to work for it. And when you get it, it's worth it. And so that doesn't mean, I choose this career, I have to be this for 30 years. No, if you're passionate and that's your jam, rock it out. But if you're unsettled and you're ready for something different, you've had friends that are just, I'm ready for change, Aaron. Or you've been living somewhere that you're just, this isn't where I'm supposed to be. Start asking yourself these questions. Where are you supposed to be? And change, it's scary. I'm having all these different feelings, but guess what? These emotions, these feelings are mine. That's okay. And then taking it from there. Taking it from there, my friends. I want to hear from you. Where are you with these different changes? Is this something that you're fiercely going after? Are you, fear is not an issue? Is it an issue? I want to hear from you. I would love to hear from you. And if you have not already, I'd love for you to follow me on Instagram, on my Facebook page. I believe in the power of community greatly. And if you dig the Goodness Chick podcast, I'd love you to think about hopping on goodnesschick.com and consider being a sponsor. We take Venmo and PayPal, and I'll tell you, it allows this weekly podcast to be going forward and not just hitting your neck of the woods, but across the world. And it's appreciated more than I could ever say, my friends. Wishing you today an amazing, epic amount of peace, love, and goodness.